Hi, my name is Daniel, and I have a master's degree in information security. I work as an assistant professor, and my main focus is cybersecurity and information security. I do also work in other topics, for example, mobile app development or network theory. Today, I will answer some of the most important questions that I've been asked from the industry multiple times. I will explain the question, talk about it, discuss it, and then I will either say overrated or underrated. You might think that I just say underrated to everything, but let's see how it goes. So the very first question today would be about SQL injection. Well, first of all, let's talk about what SQL injection is. Now, SQL injection requires an actual application that communicates with a database. So, if that application communicates with a database, it kind of needs to be in SQL form language. Otherwise, you have no way of having SQL injection, which kind of implies the first three letters, SQL. So, you cannot have SQL injection on a door, for example, or on a car, unless it's a piece of software in the car communicating with database through SQL. So how is it possible to have this SQL injection? Well, it's a programmer's flaw, basically. Is it really a flaw? I would say no. Is it a part of how the APIs are used that can be used wrongly or too lightly in a way? I would say yes, that is probably more the case. So when you choose a programming language, so we can go all the way down as a programmer, you choose probably the most easy way to communicate with the database. I understand that. That's what you should not do. And that is why you get weird flaws sometimes. We also seen that SQL injection and injection just in general dropped a bit over the years. Looking at the OWASP, Open Web Application Security Projects, you can go ahead and go owasp.org.net or something like that. Just type OWASP in Google and it will pop up the very first example of the hits. And we've seen that the injection, climbed down the ladder. Doesn't mean that it does not exist anymore. So I feel that SQL injection is a bit overrated when we talk about it. I still meet people in the industry that talk about SQL injection as like the big number one thing, or the top three thing we should definitely avoid. Sure, you should definitely avoid it. It's still something that can happen. It still exists. However, I just feel that people are talking too much about their SQL injection endeavors, stories, whatever. It was a different thing 10 years ago. We move on, so let's move on to the next question. Ransomware threats. Alright, so let's talk about that. It's not the new kid in the block anymore, but ransomware is just something that is and can be highly devastating for your company. If you're being hit by the attack of a ransomware attack, right? It kind of requires a few things in order to work fully. First of all, your network configuration needs to be somewhat crap, and you need to have an exposed backup to that particular part of a machine that's being infected with this ransomware, right? That doesn't really go hand in hand already now. We could probably say that yes, the ransomware could hit and infect multiple machines, but if you have segmentations and network segmentation, that is the real way of saying it, and if you also made sure that the backup is not on the same network as the internet is on particular, well, then you kinda will win the war. But that's not the case for every single company. So how real is ransomware? Does it hit that many people, and how devastating is it? Well, you probably heard about it a few times here and there. Every time a company is being breached or hacked or in some way not really, able to do their business. They don't usually say what it is about. But if you cannot reach the business, there's a good chance it's just a denial of service attack or distributed denial of service attack. If for some reason you can access their website and things not working properly and some services are down, it could be many different things. It could be ransomware, it could be that someone just cut the cables, basically it would be the same effect. So I would say ransomware threats are highly underrated. I know that it's probably not going to happen in the local ice cream store on the corner, but definitely something that can happen to your company. And you should definitely think about it. Why is ransomware out there and why are you being hit? Third final question is going to be biometric security. Okay, so it's very interesting because biometric kind of implies that we need to use the face or the fingers or the breath when that comes, or the iris of the eye, or we're going to use the facial expression or some way. We've seen it before when Apple released their iPhone 10, I think it was, with the facial recognition, and if you did something like this, it kind of broke instantly. But if you look at it like normal, it's okay. Now I have an iPhone right here, and it's really good at recognizing me. So it is something that's being developed and still developing to the future. So I think biometric security is a really nice thing to have, because if you can, for example, do fingerprint, right? It's been there and people can trick it, and it's not that good. Facial recognition is better, but there's still the thing that you can use a face of a person. Sometimes you can even print it out on a piece of paper and just wobble it a bit so it seems real. Also something that the software is trying to get out of. But what if you could just cut the paper? Print a person's head and you cut around with a scissor, right? What then? What if you use one of those programs that can make a head speak or something like that? Can you detect that? There are many things, many unanswered questions that definitely should be worked on. I think biometric security is either over or underrated. It's still an area that we are exploring, and still something that's going to be better and will grow with us in the future. And I really think that it's going to be an important part of security a long way in the run on many devices, especially the handheld devices. The smartphone today is the most important device of many people in the world, because it can access more or less anything. The smartphone initial security layer is probably protected by either a 4 to 6 pin or a pattern you draw. It's not that hard to guess. In most occasions, if something you do a lot, you can maybe see the pattern on the screen by just breathing on it, and then you can maybe see it by all the fatness from your fingers that's in the dirt on the screen. After that, you probably have a facial recognition to access your bank app or something like that, and then that's really it, right? So I'm just saying that it's something we need to strengthen, and it's something we still need to keep using. Whether it can be a part of the internet at some point, where you access a web page using your facial recognition, could become a requirement through your handheld device. But for now, I'm going to end the questions to say, I hope you like this little discussion. I hope you're going to watch this podcast and talk about it. I'm going to create more of them in the future, and I'm also going to try and talk to other people so we can have a real conversation. So for now, see you again online, and stay safe out there.